Oh boy, disclaimer.
Welcome one and all to Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Countdown Review. Continue watching, if you dare. Treehouse of Horror 8 has probably the most original intro up to this point. It's also very funny. We see a Fox censor looking through the script and cutting things out, even when laughing at some of them. He states that thanks to him, the episode is rated G, only for the TV G-son to stab him multiple times with a sword, killing him and causing his blood to spill out the episode logo. It's a neat little intro. Shout out to the TV G-sign getting more mature with each stab. Also, the guy's exclamations are priceless.
What the fudge? Oh, for Pete's sake! Jiminy Christmas!
HOMEGA Man is the result of the writers not being too sure on what they wanted to do. And I'll be honest, it's a bit of a mess. Mayor Quimby insults the French by calling them frogs, leading to them nuking Springfield. Everyone dies except for Homer, who was checking out bomb shelters at the time. Upon finding out he's the only man alive, he decides to do everything he's ever wanted to do. But, in a twist of fate, it turns out that not everyone died in the blast. Some of them survived as mutants. So the mutants decide to try and cannibalize Homer, who runs back home to find out his family are also still alive. The mutants, after seeing Homer and his family embrace, decide that maybe cannibalizing humans isn't the way forward, only for the Simpsons to shoot the shit out of them. So why did I just give you a rundown of the entire segment? Because it's a freaking mess. Way too much happens in such a short amount of time for you to really grasp what's going on. Hell, this could be a 22-minute episode with the amount of shit in it. Honestly, how are you meant to keep up? And the worst part is, despite being jam-packed full of stuff, the segment itself doesn't really do anything. Because it's constantly moving from one plot point to the next, you don't get a chance for anything to sink in. The idea of Homer doing everything he's ever wanted is awesome, but we only see him do two things, one of which is mundane as all hell, and the other of which he doesn't even get to finish. Seriously, watching a free movie and stealing everyone's snacks is the best he could think of? The segment does get more interesting in the final act when the mutants are exposed and the chase begins, but it happens way too late into the segment. And again, just as it's really starting to get good, it ends! If you ask me, the focus should have either been Homer doing his rebellion on the city, or the mutant uprising. But trying to cram them both into an already short time slot with the first act on top of everything just makes it way too busy. Still, it's not all bad. It has some good laughs, with Comic Book Guy having the best line in perhaps the whole episode.
Oh, I've wasted my life.
And the animation on the mutants is nice and creepy. I just feel that too much was going on to truly get into it. They even tried to cram Kang and Codice in, for Christ's sake. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It's not bad per se, but it certainly isn't good either, and it's a struggle to watch. In this segment, Homer purchases some teleportation pods from Professor Frink. Bart realises that two different beings going through them at once creates two hybrid creatures, so he does what anyone would do and tries to turn himself into a superfly. But things don't go as expected. Well, Fly vs. Fly gets the points of being the scariest segment of the episode. This is more thanks to the gross out content though. Seeing Bart with a fly's head is a genuinely disgusting thing, especially with all that goop coming out of his mouth. Ugh. I liked the scene in Lisa's bedroom because the lighting and atmosphere were top notch. Seeing Flybart also trying to kill Lisa adds to the chills, and the final few moments are intense. Lisa does indeed manage to get both versions of Bart back through the teleporters, causing everything to go back to normal. Then Homer chases Bart around with an axe. Okay, that's pretty funny. The segment does lack in the comedy department throughout, but it is saved predominantly by the horror that is Flybart. Still, I feel that the segment never really kicked into a higher gear. I'll go 6.5 out of 10 for Flybart's gross actions and the energetic final moments. This segment gets the special Banterson Award for Best Pun Title so far. Okay, now that's out of the way, Easy Bake Coven is a fun tale that takes place during the Salem witch trials. The entire town believes Marge is a witch and kicks off a cliff to test if she is, and it turns out she is! Well, I never saw that coming. I should point out that the witch moniker has become the #1 guise of Marge in Simpsons merchandise, so that should mean something. This is also the first Treehouse segment to revolve around Marge. You could say King Homer was the first, but that was more of a Mr. Burns / Homer story. This time, Marge takes centre stage. I can't believe it took 8 damn episodes, but there you go. She flees the town, but not before using her witchcraft in humorous ways, and joins her sisters, who decide to get revenge by eating the town's children. However, the Flanders decide to convince them to eat gingerbread cookies instead, giving the witches the idea to scare people for candy. And thus, Halloween was born. I've got to hand it to Ned Goldrear who wrote this episode. Taking the Salem witch trials and twisting it into a story about the first Halloween is genius. Now, I'll be honest, the scares are severely lacking in this segment, but the comedy is gold, so it's not such a big issue. There's lots of great lines and moments. I just love how well they managed to parody the actual witch trials. The townsfolk acting mad and going crazy over literally nothing is exactly like what happened with the real witch trials, and the supporting characters are perfect at replicating that. The ending is easily the funniest bit though. Easy Bake Coven gets an 8 out of 10 from me. It's hilarious at points, but it's also a great take on the Salem witch trials. I love how it's a story of the first Halloween also. Plus, Marge does deserve to have her own segment. This one started ropey, but it got better as it went on. HOMEGA Man is easily one of the more disappointing segments thus far, but Easy Bake Coven does bring back some steam for the episode. It's not an overtly scary Treehouse installment, but the comedy does peep out through the cracks occasionally. It's a shame Easy Bake Coven is lumbered with 2 average segments because it really does deserve better. I'm going to go 6 out of 10. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. In total, it's not really scary, and the comedy isn't regular enough to make it a classic. And sadly, that rating means it's currently the lowest ranked Treehouse episode yet, which is a shame. And that's it for this review and this video. Do you agree or disagree with me? What are your thoughts on Treehouse of Horror 8? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.